Welcome back to Mind the Gap. For 4 seasons, this show has been asking about the gap between what we think we're doing and what we're actually doing, between intention and impact. Season 5 narrows the focus. It's about the conversation underneath the conversation, the words we speak and the words we don't, the message we think we've sent and the signal that actually arrives. Why being told is not the same as hearing. Why hearing is not the same as minding. The show is rooted in a specific voice, Michael Comyn's, which spent 26 years announcing trains across Ireland before anyone knew there was a person attached to it. This season uses that experience as the entry point. What happens when the words don't land? What happens when people aren't listening? What happens in the space between what we say and what the world receives? New episodes weekly. Here's Michael.
26 years ago, I spent a very long day in a recording studio in Manchester. There's something faintly absurd about that already. The voice on platforms from Cork to Dublin was recorded in England. Nobody planned the irony. It was simply where the work was done at the time. It was a long day because the script was long. Every station on the network. Every permutation. The next station is. Change here for. This train is for. Hour after hour of it. Sentence by sentence. Each one delivered as if it was the only one, because for the person hearing it, it would be. And somewhere in that long day, late enough that the coffee had stopped working, came a short phrase. 4 words. Please, mind the gap. 2 takes. The first was actually used. The second was a safety copy, in case something happened to the tape. Nobody in that studio, not me, not the engineer, not anyone, thought that we'd just recorded anything of consequence. It was item 40-something on a list, and we moved on to the next line. And here's what I've learned since, and it took me years to see it. The words you weigh the most are almost never the ones that carry the furthest. I've spent a working life choosing words carefully. Broadcasts prepared to the minute, scripts drafted and recrafted, presentations built line by line. All of that work, all of that weighing, and the 4 words that have been heard more often than anything else I've ever said, combined, were recorded in 2 goes, at the end of a tired afternoon between one item and the next. That's worth sitting with. We imagine that impact follows effort, that the things we labour over are the things that land. But the sentence someone remembers you for, the one they carry for years, is very often one you don't remember saying. The remark at the end of a meeting, an aside in a corridor, the things you said while thinking about something else. You don't get to choose which of your words outlive the moment. The listener chooses, and they always have. Here's the part I find genuinely strange. Roughly a third of all passenger injuries on the rail network happen at the gap between the platform and the train, the one I've been warning people about several thousand times a day for 26 years. The warning is working perfectly. It plays every time. It has never once failed to be said. And still, people fall in the gap. The railway company looked into why, and part of the answer is exactly what you'd guess. The phone. People step across the gap looking down at a screen, and the announcement washes over them like weather. The words arrive. Nobody's listening. I find I can't be smug about this because it describes all of us most of the time. The most repeated warnings in our lives are the ones we've stopped hearing. The doctor's advice we could recite. The thing our partner has said 100 times. The feedback that appears in every appraisal. Repetition was supposed to make the message stick. Instead, it makes the message invisible. Just think of the safety demonstration on an aeroplane and whether you pay attention or not. Being told is not the same as hearing, and hearing, it turns out, is not the same as minding. For about 20 years, nobody knew it was me. The voice was everywhere and I was nowhere. Millions of journeys every day, and the voice belonged to no one, or rather it belonged to everyone. It was the voice of the railway. People heard it in the way you hear a clock tick, constantly or not at all. I'd stand on a platform and hear myself, and the strangest part was how unremarkable it felt. The voice wasn't mine anymore. It had been issued like infrastructure, and it did its work without me. And then about 4 or 5 years ago, Ray Darcy had me on his radio show and said my name, and the two things, the man and the voice, were joined in public for the first time. What changed was small but telling. People smile now. There's a tease in it. Would you ever announce my station? Say the thing. Give me a birthday request. The voice became a novelty the moment it acquired a face. For 20 years it had been a pure signal. Words doing the work of no one attached. It's now a party trick. I don't mind. It's a warm kind of teasing, and Irish teasing is a form of acceptance, well, mostly. But I've thought about what actually happened there. The words didn't change. The recording is the same one from that afternoon in Manchester. What changed is what people hear in it. The same 4 words and an entirely different reception, because some people now know who's speaking. Which tells you something uncomfortable about all communications, if you let it. We like to believe people hear what we say. Mostly, they hear who they think we are, and the words arrive already coloured. The messenger and the message were never separated. We just prefer to imagine that they are. The announcements have been refreshed many times since the first session. New stations, new formats, the network changing around the voice. Somewhere in a studio, there are hours of me spoken across a quarter of a century, most of it interchangeable, all of it anonymous in spirit even now. But the first take of those 4 words is still the one, the unweighted one. Please, mind the gap. I've been saying it professionally for 26 years. It's taken me nearly that long to start listening to it. One question to take with you today. Of everything you've said this week, do you know which words are still travelling?
Next week, the gap between what you feel and the words you have for it. The gap between the emotion and the vocabulary. We speak mostly in the language we inherited, which isn't always the language we need. That gap, especially in Irish, where certain feelings have no respectable name, is where this show goes next. Mind the Gap. New episodes weekly.